Kimberly here. Yesterday I did the stimulus update for the new stimulus package that they're working on currently. That is not really set. All the details haven't been really publicly talked about. There are particular points that they are talking about, but as it's got to be shoved through Congress, and who knows what's going to be added into it or taken out, or it's going to be dressed upside one side and down the other, so who knows what it'll turn out. And one of the things that Joe Biden really was adamant about was raising the taxes on the wealthy, and that means people who make $400,000 a year or more, and to raise corporate taxes, because the millionaires and billionaires take up about 1%, but they make gargantuan amounts of money. And especially through this pandemic, they have become billions and billions of dollars richer. And there's really no reason to give somebody who makes $60 billion a tax break. They should just pay taxes on it. It's insane to suggest that all the middle class and poor who are struggling should pay taxes, or even higher taxes, in order to give these millionaires and billionaires a tax break, because it does not come back to the community. They do not have very set things that they're going to do with the money that they would have paid taxes with. They don't set aside some estimated plan that we're going to give everybody a $5 or $10 raise per hour and free health care for the life of working at the company or whatever. They don't do that. They don't do anything in return. They may throw in a few token things here and there to make it look as if they are, but it really doesn't benefit anybody except for the upper echelon of that company. When a CEO gets a $20 million bonus at the end of the year, that's insane. Why would you give a tax break to a company that pays one single particular person a $20 or $30 million bonus on top of their salary? Because some of these people make like $50 million salaries, and then they get a $20 million bonus if the company does well. And if you're paying, like Walmart pays low wages, they've just recently begun, raising up their wages. And that's mainly because of the call from the public and other public officials, other people pointing it out. That, so what if they're one of the richest companies in the world? Or I think they are the richest company in the world. So what? You treat your employees like crap and you pay them next to nothing. You don't give them breaks. You don't give them lunches. I was at Walmart the other day, and this literally, I wish I should have taken a picture of it. There was a sign in one department. It said, went to go grab some lunch. If you need something, call this number. And it had the number. I mean, that's kind of crazy that nobody was put into that department to take over for that person's break. Like, they can't afford to replace employees while they go on break. That's stupid, beyond stupid. They make enough money to provide for people's breaks, and I just have a real issue with companies that they get a tax break, but they can't manage stupid stuff like that. And to give a CEO, no single CEO deserves a $50 million salary with a $20 million bonus. I don't care how smart they are. I don't care that the business may have done super, super good. That doesn't mean it was that one person that did it. There's all these other employees that work there too. They should share in that $20 million bonus, not just give it to one person, especially after a company gets a tax break. That's crazy. And also, in part of this new stimulus plan, they're going to try to do something about income inequality because of the systemic racism that there is. People of color sometimes have a hard time getting finance for like houses. Financial institutions are one of the biggest places that discriminate. It's so so obvious and so clear, and it's been proven so many times. People have been suing these financial institutions left and right because when they have the same qualifications and they make just as much money or more, and they give a white person a loan, but they won't give somebody, a person of color, a loan, that's how many hoops do people have to jump through? If they can hold up to the same standard as other groups, they should be allowed to have the same opportunity to own a home or own a business. The security in owning your own home and being secure financially, everybody has that right in this country. It should not be a point of discrimination. And that's kind of part of, well, in Texas, we don't pay a state income tax. And it's really cheap taxes for businesses, really just a great place for people to own a business. And I'm glad we don't pay a state income tax. When you go somewhere and you buy whatever you buy, you pay your tax right then. And I like that much better instead of paying at the end of the year. Because if you're not buying as much stuff as somebody else, you're not going to be hit with, the way they try to, I really don't know how it works, but in the other states, I've heard of people who come here who said, I'm so glad I don't have to pay a state income tax, because some people have told me they thought it was too high, or they felt like they were paying another portion of, like it was spread across the board, but it wasn't really even. I don't know. I'm just glad that we don't pay that. And I think that's attracted a lot of people to come to Texas, and there's like a mass migration to come to Texas. And like a lot of the larger cities, people are moving out of Chicago, New York, LA, especially from California. There's a lot of Californians that are moving to Texas. And I even work with a person that moved from California to Texas. And I've worked with several other people that have come from California in the past. And they were just telling me it's just too expensive. You can't buy a house there. The land is too expensive to build a house on, or you have to move way, way far from, it depends on the job. Gosh, that is awful. Sorry. I should have got my other light. I just think a lot of the attraction to Texas is, the low taxes, no state income tax. Plus, we do have low wages. So if you're owning a huge company and you're going to have to hire a lot of employees, our minimum wage has not been raised by the state. It's still $7.25 an hour. So I think that kind of is an attractive thing for some companies. I don't think that's a major draw. I think the tax situation is probably the biggest thing, but the fact that you're not going to be forced to pay your employees $12 or $15 an hour unless you want to. But companies are starting to pay a lot more here, because a lot of people won't work for $7.25 an hour, even a little bit above that. It's hard to get employees to stay at a job like that, because if you're low paying and then you train somebody and they're going to be looking for a higher paying job, they are. If you're paying somebody $7.25 an hour, they're not going to stay there forever. And I think a lot of people are getting tired of the really low paying jobs, they're causing a lot of, I think, businesses to have a drag on their income themselves. And for them to raise their pay, I think it actually helps the business a little bit better. Because if you're going to be constantly having turnover and having to train people, it takes, a little bit of time for people to get comfortable in a job and learn to do it. And then if it doesn't have any benefits, and if they're not being treated very well, who wants to stay at a job like that? So there's a lot of reasons why people are coming through this mass migration to Texas. It's been happening for quite a while. I want to say at least 10 or 15 years, but it slowly has been picking up. And now, because of the pandemic, I think that accelerated. I think it just became really noticeable, and the pace and the amount of people that were exiting all these other states and relocating to Texas. A lot of the populations of certain cities were getting quite a big bump, and it became, really recognizable. And, well, I love Texas. I like living here, and I was thinking the other day, if I did move out of the state, I don't really think I want to, but I do like the cooler climate. That's one thing. I know I gripe about this all the time. It's really hot here, and I'm only at the upper middle part, I guess. You go way down south, it's even worse. But as this winter, with the deep freeze that we had, a lot of people down south saw snow for the first time. A lot of these people who weren't born maybe within the last 20, 25 years, I don't think a lot of places have never had snow in probably 20 or 30 years. So that was kind of the way it happened was horrible, but it was something that they never experienced before. And so there's some parts of the country that are in Texas that there's not a whole lot of snow, and that I guess the rain, it kind of depends on what area. In East Texas, it's more rainy, and it can be really dry in some parts, humid in some parts. Where I live, it's really dry, but the land is probably a lot cheaper than in, say, California, New York, Chicago, these bigger cities. So a lot of companies can buy a big parcel of land and build a huge building on it for a lot cheaper than where they are. So that's also a big attraction to it too. And the taxes on the land and everything else would be much cheaper also. And I don't think there's as much regulation like in California with a lot of everything I get that has some kind of chemical or some additive to it. There's always some little warning for residents of California: this contains such and such, or we can't ship this item to California because of I've seen this a lot online where they don't ship to California because of certain chemicals that are in certain products. And, that we don't have that here. And in a way, for the environment, it's a double-edged sword. You want the environment to be safe, but, the conveniences that we have and things that we want, sometimes that kind of, you have to weigh good and bad with that. Okay, that was just about the tail end of that stimulus package. There's just a few other things that I couldn't fit in yesterday. Thank you all, and I'll be back with another video.